You can spend years in therapy analyzing your childhood, but if your hips, jaw, and chest are still locked tight, you have not healed the mother wound. That's because talk therapy stops at language, but your body stores the unspoken truth.
And this lovely wound is the reason why so many women continue repeating the same relationship patterns, despite the amount of journaling and therapy that they've done. Hi, I'm Jenna, a mind-body practitioner and a former licensed massage therapist of 18 years. And in this video, I'm going to show you why the mother wound is still held in the body and the somatic tools that you can use to help release it. In order to put a kibosh on all of those relationship patterns that you keep finding yourself in. Therapy focuses on the conscious mind. And yes, there are tools within therapy that they can use that will help access the subconscious, such as EMDR, hypnotherapy. What we're missing is that the subconscious mind is actually the body. And what I mean by that is there is something called fascia. It's our connective tissue throughout our whole body and our organs, and it communicates from the body to the brain. When something is in your environment, the body is alerted. Think of when you might have been walking outside and you feel like you've been watched or you have a creepy feeling. That is because your body senses something is off and it immediately alerts your brain. This is when your brain takes over that story, that information, and then it can create what it desires. There have been many times that I've imagined some crazy things in my brain, but it wasn't my brain that first got that information. My body alerted me first. This is how we go into our fight, flight, response system. I was going through some talk therapy sessions, and I remember each time I got there, they would ask me the same things. What's been going on? How are you feeling? And sometimes they would give me some ways to help me in my predicaments. There wasn't any actual tangible tools that I could use to help soothe my nervous system in real time. So as I'm working through a lot of these different feelings and situations, I would notice my body was reacting. I would have pain, I would get sick, and also I would get headaches. Another thing I noticed, I was able to diagnose myself, coach myself, logic my way out of everything because yes, I definitely have a very neurodivergent brain that can see all these patterns and analyze myself all day long. So when I got into those specific situations, I would tell them what was wrong with me and what was going on and what I needed to do. That doesn't mean that I knew how to take those steps. They thought I was an A+ student. However, I was just using the same things I did back in school and with my parents to please everyone, but still didn't have the tangible tools to help soothe my nervous system and make me feel safe. Because when we feel safe in our body, we are able to release traumatic situations that might be still lodged in our tissue. When those girls didn't pick me to hang out with them, or when the guy I really liked didn't choose me and he went with somebody else. Those are all suppressed emotions and situations that I just shoved deep down into my pelvic floor. I never had to deal with them again. But what ends up happening is when I'm in a relationship and I get very angry or sad or it gets triggered, all of that stuff comes bubbling up and hits my partner. Or I attract people that are going to just replay those same situations of rejection, abandonment, and neglect. Many women do understand their pain intellectually, but they do not feel safe enough to actually do something about it. They feel stuck, and stuckness is held in the hips. If you're starting to realize that, hey, my body might be holding on to things that I thought I already worked through, then take my mother wound type quiz.
It only takes 2 minutes, and you'll finally see which trauma response is secretly driving your love life. Then join me in Beneath the Armor, where I'll guide you step by step through fascia release so your body feels safe again.
Now you might be wondering, what the fuck is the mother wound and how is it stored in the body? Great question. So, the mother wound is all the wounds, traumas, experiences that a woman goes through, and then she hands them down to her children. How does one get the mother wound if they had an okay childhood or an okay connection with their mom? That is because they had food, shelter, water, sometimes entertainment, but their emotional needs went unmet. What this may look like is if you had a mom that was emotionally unavailable or emotionally immature, you may come to her with a situation. For example, come to her saying that the girls in the school are making fun of you and this makes you feel bad. Something my mom always said was, "Oh, they're just jealous of you." This invalidated my feelings. I still was hurt. And instead, now I feel hurt and invalidated, and I just feel like it's silly to feel these feelings. So let's go ahead and just shove them away until you can't shove them away enough. The main area that we tend to hold a lot of these emotions are going to be stored in the hips. The left side of our body is typically for our feminine side, right side is going to be our masculine. But in the pelvic floor itself, there are going to be 3 deep layers, and these are all going to be connected to different areas of our life. And our mother is going to be the one that we feel like we have to hold. Because again, the pelvic floor and the pelvis in general is what holds us up. It's stability. If we've had a helicopter parent, then you may not feel stable to live on your own. And some people do feel responsible for their mother. So even though they are adults themselves, maybe have families of their own, they still feel responsible for their mother's happiness. So this is where we get a lot of those uneven relationships and adult daughters that resent their mothers. When we experience an emotion, our body is going to react. As I mentioned, when our body is going through our environment and feels a threat, this could be just loud noises, this could be a awkward situation, this could be a confrontation with our mother, that will create the fight flight response. In my specific case, I went into fight a lot. So we would yell at each other. I would get loud. And also, I didn't want to hear what she had to say. So I would run away. So it was kind of like fight and flight at the same time. She would also get very hyper aroused and yell back. And there were times when she would also just shut down and ignore me. What happens when the body goes into a fight response or hyperarousal is the blood is going to flow out of the trunk of your body into your limbs because you are getting ready to either fight or book it out of there. Also, your diaphragm starts to breathe really shallow because it is trying to contract quickly. So again, if you needed to use very short breaths to be able to fight or flight, you would be able to do so. Now, the fascia that runs through all of the body is going to try and help us. But again, it's a sticky layer. And it's going to constrict the diaphragm and also our psoas muscle, which the psoas muscle is our deep trauma center. Our body still thinks that we are running from a tiger and it wants to protect us. The problem is at the end of the day, we would do big tribal dances to help release the trauma that we experienced for the day, and also do chanting, which helps release the pelvic floor. Now we sit and watch 6 hours of Netflix, eating on the couch, and then just rolling into our bed, and then feeling like we got hit by a semi-truck when we wake up. This just shows all of the holding patterns in the body. And again, when we experience that trauma response in our body, we are then going to tie a story to it. Either resentment, anger, abandonment, neglection, grief, shame. And now, anytime that we experience something similar, it will trigger that same trauma response that has the same coping mechanism: fight, flight, fawn, freeze. Now you're breaking cycles and you want to actually heal all of this and stop being at the whim of your trauma responses, especially when your mom calls or texts. And it's not as difficult or as expensive as you might think. Traditional talk therapy is just there to support the logical thinking center. We want to focus more on the body. And through that, we want to do fascial maneuvers, somatic techniques, especially somatic breathing. We can couple this with hypnotherapy or even EMDR, and one of my favorites, structural therapy. But quite honestly, you could even just do intuitive movement, which is going to help your body release some of the tightness that it's been holding on to if you do sit all day. Or maybe you stand all day, because that also is one that is extremely painful. One of my favorites, and I do every single morning, at night, and even if I'm just sitting at my desk, and that is using a lacrosse ball to roll the bottom of my foot. The fascia underneath the foot is connected to the whole body. So in traditional Chinese medicine, they believe that everything that is in the foot is going to be connected to the body, as well as organs and emotions. As you are working your feet, which, I mean, can't we all relate to having tight feet all day, especially with the shoes that we're wearing? But we can utilize easy tools such as a lacrosse ball, tennis ball, or golf ball to help us roll out that fascia. I recommend doing 2 to 5 minutes on each foot, and I like doing spot treatments in specific areas that are holding a lot of tension. If you're interested in learning the fascial maneuvers, as well as my soften method that is located within Beneath the Armor community, that's located in the description below. Because again, you've done all the mindset work, you've done the journaling, you've done therapy, you've done everything, and now it's time to listen to the language of your body and what it's trying to share with you to expedite your healing process so that you can feel safe in your body in order to receive safe love and just enjoy the life that you have in the present moment. Just a reminder, your body is not trying to piss you off. It's not trying to do these things to go against you or turn on you. It's actually trying to protect you in the only way it knows how. And now it's time to support it and actually become a partner with your body so that you can become an advocate for your health. Let's soften that armor so that you can feel safe in your body.